Hello there. This is off to a really good start. I wanted to do a little bit of a recording. I'm not sure if I'll use this, but I think saying that always makes me feel like I can be more honest. So either way, I always say it. But I just wanted to have a bit of a chronic illness chat for a minute. I don't know if I'll put this in a larger video or like scrap it or keep it for myself. But today is Thursday and I feel rough. Like smiling there is the most emoting I've done for hours. I feel rough on a few fronts, which I mean makes sense because I have two chronic illnesses and when one is off they tie into the other and vice versa. So I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, hypermobility type, which ultimately my main symptoms from that is exceptionally stiff joints, partial dislocations of certain joints, general chronic pain, I guess. And then I have a secondary form of Addison's disease. So my adrenal glands don't produce cortisol, so anytime I am stressed or experience a fright, I have to take some synthetic cortisol essentially, whilst taking also a baseline amount to get you through the day. So naturally when my pain levels are high, that can cause stress, and that means my Addison's flares. But equally if I feel rough because I've mistimed dosing for Addison's, that makes my joints exceptionally stiff because Addison's is exceptionally related to electrolytes, I think. I'm not super coherent right now, so this is a really bad explanation, but essentially it can impact like your magnesium and stuff, so can obviously cause muscle pain, which impacts my joints. But so it is Thursday. I have learned a lot about dosing when it comes to Addison's over the last 10 months I've been diagnosed. Is it 11 months now? But basically I have learned that the amount of synthetic cortisol, hydrocortisone, that you take isn't the only important thing. It's also really important when you take it. So it takes a lot of playing around with because everyone's baseline isn't the same, and everyone's version of what is a stressor isn't the same. And then I'm autistic, so my version of what is a stressor is never my doctor's version. So it's always a little bit strange. So lately I have been skewing towards taking, typically what they want you to do is take your highest dose in the morning, usually a little bit before you get up, and then to kind of go back to sleep for maybe half an hour, and let it kind of kick in so that when you get up you're feeling a little bit more awake. This makes a lot of sense because naturally with your circadian rhythm, if I didn't have Addison's, my body would start to produce a little bit of cortisol from about 4 AM on to kind of let you know it's the morning. It's kind of like producing melatonin at night, I guess, to tell you to wind down. But so I have found that taking 12.5 milligrams as a first dose and then 2.5 later on and 2.5 again later on is kind of what's suiting me at this present moment. What suits me now will probably change because they say with secondary it can be a long time before you find a baseline standardized dose, so like a couple of years depending on how long you've been sick. So typically I'm really used to taking that dose and it works. I'm so used to having my alarm go off and me rolling over, taking the meds, firing them back and then going to sleep. I'm so used to it. I did that this morning. Bear in mind today I was up in Dublin at the start of the day, and then I needed to drive home to Kerry, which is about a 3.5 hour, 4 hour drive if you hit traffic in Adair. And so I had, you know, a good bit to do in terms of energy and concentration and focus, and it was also raining, which really causes me anxiety driving. It really makes my, I don't know how to say this because I'm so tired, like my autism sensitive. Like it feels like I can see everything in more micro detail when I'm stressed. Like instead of seeing less details when I'm stressed, I can hone in on every small droplet of water on the windscreen and see everything as a potential problem, which obviously makes driving really fun. But obviously, well not obviously, I don't know if you recognise this, my room in Kerry, so I did make it. But I rolled over this morning, took my meds, went back to sleep, woke up a little bit later and just started getting ready, packing the car, doing a lot of cleaning, and I started to feel like two things: a really dry mouth, well actually three things: a really dry mouth, really dry eyes, and pain in my lower back. I think a lot of endocrinologists will tell you that you can't feel your adrenals in secondary. I know myself and a lot of other people who have secondary Addisons can feel, like absolutely feel when their back is in pain, that it's a horrendous kind of pain, and it feels like what's left of your adrenal is trying its best to keep you alive, which is obviously where it's different to primary, because primary your adrenals cut out and they're dead. That's why secondary is harder to diagnose, because they die over time slowly. So I looked at the clock and I basically wasn't meant to take a dose yet, so that was really strange. I was really confused about that. But then I looked at I use a tea light holder for my meds, because it's the quickest thing to grab and it means I won't spill anything. And I had left my 10 milligram tablet in there and hadn't taken it in the morning. I just must have grabbed it. So I only took 2.5, which is a massive deficit to start the day on. And to notice this only a few hours in, when I'm already at the point of being symptomatic, is pretty bad. I immediately took the dose, took some electrolytes. I didn't know if that was going to help or if it was too late. And then I hit the road to Kerry, because I really needed to get home. I have some very important appointments here that I couldn't miss. And I kind of, with the caveat that I could turn around or stop or ring my family if I really felt unwell. And I continued to take more medication as I was driving. And ultimately, like the one thing I noticed that was really there present was my joints were incredibly sore, which obviously if you're driving for a long time, you're stiff anyway, but when you have joints that don't move well at the best of times, it can be really sore. And then my mood fell off an absolute cliff, which is so low cortisol. So it's strange really, in the sense that I'm sitting here now and I'm home about half an hour. I've showered because I struggle to go to sleep if I haven't showered, because of my sensory awareness being autistic, of touching the bed sheets if I haven't showered bothers me. So that was a priority. I'm putting an ice pack on my ankle. I have a swollen ankle because my ankle is really one of my hot spots for dislocation, but I have an automatic car, so my right foot is the only foot that does anything, and it's my right ankle. So I'm sitting here with that, and I'm just kind of thinking, and even as I'm talking, I'm so aware of how dry my mouth is. I'm just kind of thinking about how I feel and how familiar this feeling is. Like, this is so far from the worst I've ever felt. And I'm aware of that, which is probably what makes this more alarming. But I feel so like half present, robotic, two-dimensional. It kind of reminds me of when I was in college and I'd be so tired and I was trying to make friends, especially in first year. And I would say that I felt like a caricature of what a person in college would be. But my ankle is so sore. So this is a really familiar feeling, and it's made me realise that I haven't felt that as much lately since being diagnosed, and I've had more glimmers of what it is to be normal, healthy. I don't think my version of healthy is ever any like an actual healthy person's version, but it's certainly better, more consistent than I was used to for the last decade. So it makes me look at all the versions of myself I've been. Like, I've been a girl who was doing the Leaving Cert and just wanted to study writing, who really focused on her friends and really cared about everything with such deep passion. I've been the college student who's attempting to go to parties and have a good life, whilst feeling like I'm going to die and leaving lectures halfway through to faint, you know, from postural orthostatic tachycardia or POTS in the bathrooms. I've been a girl who graduated and was so unwell and had shingles at the time. I've been someone who's done masters. I've been a friend, a sister, someone who turned 21 and couldn't handle my own birthday party. I've been someone who crashed during the pandemic. I've been someone who started a PhD and a whole new life and then had to give that up because I crashed. I've been so many versions of myself. And the happy versions, the versions that are the girl with friends, or I don't know, like the girl with friends, the girl who's been a girlfriend, the girl who's loves spending time with my cousins or my parents, and I love writing and feeling fed in that way, has been feeling like this at the same time. And I think it's almost embarrassing how quickly I forgot that I did everything in spite of feeling like this. And it now makes me look at those versions of myself and wonder if any of them were real. Like, how can I know who I was fully as a friend or a girlfriend or a daughter or a sister or cousin when at least 80% of me is feeling like a phantom, you know, washed out, not present. So it kind of makes me feel strangely excited, potentially, that I'm now 29 and figuring out who I am in all of those contexts without feeling like this all the time. I'm aware I feel crap now, but in reality my ankle will calm down. I'll probably get over this low cortisol ebb in a few days. It will drag for a few days, because that's the problem with low cortisol, is it's not something you take extra medication and it boosts, like where you immediately feel a buzz, you know, and you feel better. You're just replacing the deficit and your baseline is still bad again. So ultimately you need a few circadian rhythm cycles to feel well again, is what I'm gathering anyway. But yeah, it's made me look at all those people that I was and have been and will continue to be, and think that maybe she didn't even know who she was at all, you know, because she didn't have a chance, she didn't have a fighting chance. But it does make me kind of impressed by her, that she survived. She survived such painful things. I'm going through painful things now, and the precedent I have set is that I will survive. And that feels kind of amazing, even in this pain and this half-dead feeling. So, I don't know, I just wanted to come on and say that, and potentially, like, I suppose look at all the versions of myself I've ever been and think that if that was me not living at full brightness, then I'm really looking forward to seeing what full brightness is, I guess, is what I'm saying. I am so tired, my mouth is so dry, and I need to go back to being an inanimate object in bed for a while. I don't look good. I don't know, I'd be interested if you guys, you know, if you're chronically ill in any capacity, or, you know, or anything like that, I'd be interested to know your opinions and like hear what you have to say, because it's something I'm definitely processing and probably will talk about more in the future in much more coherent, structured ways, not on my bedroom floor looking like this in a hoodie I've worn in about 60 of my videos. But yeah, this is the start of those inklings, I guess. And that's a little bit exciting. I'm sorry if this was rambly. I really appreciate you being here. Please leave your comments down below, or if you've thoughts or if you've anything you want to share, I would so appreciate it. Yeah, I really appreciate it. And here's to riding every ebb, really. And knowing eventually there'll be a flow. Eventually. So I wish you guys all the best.